In this video, I'm going to show you how to create the tilt shift effect in Photoshop. So I've imported my picture into Photoshop and that has become the background layer. First thing to do is make a duplicate layer, and this is the one we're going to start editing on. So with this duplicate layer, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to Filter and select Blur, and then select Lens Blur. And this is what you need your settings to be. Turn your radius down to 10 and everything else at 0, with the threshold all the way to the top. Then click OK, and it applies that effect onto just this layer right here. Now we're going to add a layer mask by clicking this button right here. Adds a layer mask to the layer, and right now it's all white. Remember, white reveals, black conceals. So go over to your color picker and make sure you have black selected, because we're going to remove this effect in certain areas by removing parts of this layer. And then you're going to select the paintbrush tool. Then you're going to go to your brush settings and make the brush size so that it's relatively small compared to the size of your picture. About maybe something like that. So it's, I don't know if you can see, about that big compared to the rest of your picture. And then make sure your brush hardness is set all the way to 0% so that it's soft, so it's fuzzy edges. Make sure the flow on your brush is pretty low. You want to go down to about 20%. So click this setting for your brush, make sure it's down to 20%, so you're only erasing a little bit of the photo at a time, or a little bit of the layer at a time. Once you've done that, then make sure you have your layer mask selected, not your layer. Select your layer mask, and you're going to paint black onto the layer mask, and that's going to reveal the photo that's underneath. And so we're only seeing the blur effect on part of the picture. So once you've done that, you can see in the layer mask here, the white areas are the part of the blur that's showing through, and the black is concealed and cover up, and it's just it's showing the layer below. So that's step one. And then next you need to select this layer by right clicking and say duplicate layer. So now we have a second layer, a second copy of that blurry layer. And what we're going to do is add even more blur to it now. So again, go back to the image on that layer, choose blur and then lens blur. And now we're going to turn the blur up a little bit. So instead of setting the radius at 10, we're going to move it up to 20. And click OK. And the layer mask is still in effect, and it's the same size, but we don't want it to be the exact same size. We want this layer mask to open it up a little bit more so that we can see the different levels of blur. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. You can do that by pushing the right bracket on your keyboard, or you can go up here to the brush settings again and make your brush, with this slider, make your brush whatever size you want. So you want the brush to be just a little bit bigger. And then make sure your layer mask is selected for this top layer, and then you're going to erase out a little bit above that stripe that you did before and a little bit below, but don't erase it completely. What you want is something like this, where it starts to fade to white, and it fades to white going this way. So don't erase it all black, just make it fade a little bit. Make sure to get all the way to your edges. And once you've done that, the effect is complete. That is the tilt shift effect in Photoshop.